Guys, I got Travisbook here today. He is a former Keller Williams agent, and he's just joined a new brokerage, and I'm actually interested to hear about it. You said it's a cloud-based brokerage.
Yes, sir.
What does that mean?
So we don't have any brick and mortar offices. So there's no place for me to go every single day, just work out of the house. Now, as a brokerage, we'll get together every now and then to come together and discuss and learn and build culture, that kind of stuff. But there's no brick and mortar specifically.
What's it called?
LPT Realty, which stands for Listing Power Tools. They started as kind of a print marketing company for real estate agents, and they decided just to go ahead and make it a brokerage to make it more cost effective for agents to use their tools and print materials and that kind of stuff. So they started out of Florida about 2 years ago. They already have 13,000 plus agents in 26 states in only 2 years.
Jeez.
Yeah. Crazy viral type growth.
That's huge.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Very short period. How many years?
2. Yeah, 2 years. So in the first full calendar year, 2023, all 12 months they were in business, they were the number 28 broker in all of the U.S. And they just won the most innovative brokerage award at the Inman News Awards a few months ago. So yeah, making a lot of noise, getting a lot of traction. So that's why I was with Keller Williams for a long time, 11 plus years, and this was just a fantastic opportunity to jump in and help a company grow, help build the culture, and lead that charge. So I was really excited about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I guess you're enjoying it then.
So far, yeah, absolutely.
Less fees.
What's that?
Less fees is normally what I hear, or a little bit more autonomy, I guess.
All the above, yeah. And so one of their niches in the brokerage market is a hybrid model. It's a hybrid brokerage, meaning you can choose your compensation path. So they have one option, which is a per transaction model of $4.95 per transaction, up to $5,000, or you have a more kind of a partner, they call it a rev share partner, business partner path that's like $15,000, 80-20 split. So even at $15,000 is much less than most other brokerages, the big guys, more competitive in that world, but you can be a part of the revenue share program that they offer with help building the company and grow it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, so we're getting a lot of traction. Dallas is relatively small by agent count. There's only about 220 agents in Dallas that are currently LPT. My business partner down in San Antonio helped that market grow, from 50, 60 up to about 500 within a year's time. So.
Can you grow a team with them?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want as far as your individual business goes or team growth or anything like that, which is another advantage because in other brokerages that maybe don't have easy team models, because everybody comes in, you pick the $15,000, you pick the $5,000. And so obviously per transaction on a $5,000 for a team member is much more cost effective and advantageous than maybe some of the other models.
Are you going to build a team?
We'll see as far as my personal real estate business goes, but my goal is to help build LPT up for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to take a more integral role with them, or
Yeah.
spreading the word about it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's only a hybrid model system out there, and they're even starting a brokerage-based sister company that you can cross over on the revenue share as well. So some of the more brokerage-based brands that you might be familiar with, like Compass and some of the like Monument, like those where the brand is more important potentially to the clients. So they're starting that sister company as well that cross-pollinates on the revenue share system.
Interesting. Before we walked in here, you had made a comment about a statistic you read. 47% of agents have not sold a house this year.
Yeah.
This year being 2024. It's middle September, end of September of 2024, and almost half the registered agents have not sold a single house.
Yeah.
It's been a weird market for us.
It has been, yeah.
It started out kind of slow, and then it got really, really strong.
Yeah,
and it just dropped off.
July, August was crickets.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just dropped off.
Yeah. And May,
You've sold a house.
May, June
this year, right?
A few houses. Yes. Yeah, not a part of the 47%.
What do you do when the market slows like that? Do you pivot? Do you keep on the same track that you're on? Do you find maybe a different product or a different style of house that you might be able to sell or move easier?
No, I think the expectations just change,
Okay.
right? And so you have to take care of your clients and let them know here's what's going to happen next, right? And early on in this market change, because sometimes you don't notice the change until you're on the market, then you got to pivot pretty quickly and update them with information as often and as fast as you can to let them know, hey, it's not just us.
Yeah.
In fact, it's everybody around us. And so I'm very data driven when it comes to that kind of thing, but then you got to relate it to them and here's what this means for you type of thing, right?
Do you use Netris a lot?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, tracking, how many homes on the market, how many are selling, how long it's taking for them to sell, that kind of thing. So they know it's not just you guys, everyone's experiencing the same thing, but here's what we're going to do, here's the plan going forward.
It's an incredible tool, especially if you can show the data trends over the years.
Right.
Tell your client you're going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I know this has looked like this, but here's the trend over the years. And a lot of people, even today, they don't realize that 6 months is a healthy market.
Right.
And a 6 months inventory.
Right.
Right. And most people are thinking, no, it's supposed to be like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I put my house in the market and it just sells.
Right.
Because that's how it's been for a few years.
Absolutely.
So now you have to rotate that thought process and tell people, no, actually, this is better for the world, or the economy in general.
Yeah.
But you might not sell your house tomorrow.
Right. Right. Which, that gives way more value to real estate agents, right? And I think the value of real estate agents was dwindling during those years of 2020, 2021, 2022.
Yeah.
When
You could put a Facebook post out there, my house is for sale and someone would buy it.
Yeah, right.
What do you need an agent
A
for?
monkey could sell a house
Yeah.
at that point, right? And so there wasn't, there was still value for agents that could express their value and show their value. But I think your average seller, for the most part, may have gotten done with that process with their average agent and gone, what did they actually do during this whole thing, right?
Why did I just give them $30,000?
Right.
Yeah.
And I always explain to people, hey, yeah, you could sell the home. Now it's a matter for how much and how fast and how many bumps are going to be along the way. And that's going to be the difference in the agents, right? But now there's, people seeing way more value in the agents because homes are sitting on the market and you got to work hard now to sell the property.
Do you do, speaking of that time period was a struggle for us. Because if you remember, people were waiving inspection, waive, all these different things.
Yep.
And they were just, we'll buy the house as is. We don't need an inspection. And consequently, we would get phone calls regularly. But hey, I need to cancel that inspection. We just went under contract and I'm not doing an inspection. Okay. So we were, not struggling, but it was slow. And then now I've noticed a flip effect. Because it's becoming more of a buyer's market, more people see the value. And I know it's a buyer's market because every time a buyer's market has kind of come our way, they buy more expensive, more detailed reports that then they can go fight with and negotiate with and be like, here's a list of things that's wrong because it's going more buyer's market. If you want me to buy your house, I need these addressed.
Yep.
And we've noticed that we're selling the more detailed inspection reports.
Yeah, okay.
Not just the broad overview, just get in, get out. It's, no, I want to know everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot. So I do know it's becoming more buyer's market.
Oh, yeah.
And some of the houses we look at, oh man, that's been on the market 3 months now.
Yeah.
So they'll do what it takes to sell their house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's where your expertise comes in. It's like they demanded all this.
Yeah.
Now let's negotiate, and that's why you need me.
Right.
One reason.
Absolutely. And bringing in context and perspective and that kind of stuff, right? Because this weird thing happens with people when they sell a house and buy a house, they're completely different people, right?
Yeah.
When they're selling the house, yeah, that's fine, everything's good. But when they're buying, everything is, a catastrophic event, right? So
Same person separated by a week.
Yeah, exactly. But they look at the situation much differently because, it's the house they've been living in for 10 years and they've, put up with XYZ or feel like it's perfectly fine. But, when they come to a home that they're not emotionally attached to yet, then...
yeah, it's like buying a used car.
Right.
You're selling it and you go, yeah, it's been squeaking for 5 years. It's fine.
No big deal.
Yeah, but you exactly buying it. We've seen that big change, and that's been a benefit to us, obviously.
Yeah.
What do you do when you're on the seller side and someone comes in with a big laundry list of everything that needs to be fixed? Let's say the house has been on the market 4 or 5 months. Is that something you would convey to the homeowner? Like, we've not gotten many hits. We should really address this. Or Do you tell them to wait? How do you guide your client through that?
I mean, we've seen that all times, right? Because with buyer's agents, you get a varying degree of expectations of those buyer's agents as well as experience levels. And then you get the same thing with the buyers themselves, right? Are they first-time home buyers or are they buying their fifth house? So a lot of times in all markets I've seen, if it's an inexperienced agent, inexperienced buyer, you're typically they're going to email you the entire inspection report, right? And say, hey, just take care of it. And it's like, oh, no, we're not going to do all of that. Now, what I do is I'll go through their report, send it to the seller, obviously, but I'll say, hey, here's what I think all buyers are going to ask for in today's market, right? And so that answer might change varying on the market of, hey, in 21, 22, we're not going to do any of this stuff. But these things here, these are going to happen for any buyer that comes along, right? And so, yeah, that list may be a little bit longer these days, but there's still a varying degree of, hey, what's reasonable and not reasonable. Now, at the end of the day, I'll also let sellers know, hey, while this buyer may think that HVAC is more important and we know it's not that bad of a problem, another buyer might think the roof is a bigger deal. Now, at the end of the day, what's most important is, are you comfortable with the amount of money that's going to take to get this home to sell, regardless of what the subject matter is? Because that's really what it's ultimately about, is how much you're walking away with, right? So getting them on board with, hey, it's not necessarily what the subject matter is, it's let's get to the end and are we comfortable with the amount of money it's going to take, and what are other buyers going to ask for the same thing? Because why go through this whole process to go back on the market and another buyer does another inspection and asks for the exact same things, right? Let's just figure this out, move forward.
Is that probably the number one question, which is, well, how much am I walking away with?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and obviously that's what everyone's concerned about, and you want to keep them updated through the process on that, absolutely, and remind them of, because a lot of times, sometimes they think it's not going to be as much as they think, right? So that gives you a little more leeway when it comes to those negotiations. And, if you do really heavy negotiations on the sales price and that kind of stuff up front, the inspections can be a little tougher because they've already come off the price XYZ, right? So it's just managing those expectations, but reminding them, hey, here's why you're doing it. Let's figure this part out and get you where you want to go, versus going back on the market, which is going to be a tougher process at that point.
Yeah, how many clients do you have that do that and then end up back on the market, and then it's almost like a complete restart?
Yeah, very few, because I'll give them several options. Here's what you can do. You can do X, Y, and Z, what the buyer is asking for. We can start with this and see what they say, or you don't do any of it, we go back on the market, and here's possibly what's going to happen at that point.
Yeah.
And so I give them the options, and a lot of times you give people options, they're going to choose the best one for them, right? Now, most of the time it's to move forward, because who wants to go backwards?
Start over, yeah.
Yeah, no one wants to do that. And a lot of times that option is, hey, if we go back on the market, you're probably going to get a little bit less money because now we've been under contract. People are going to ask what happens. If we have the report, now we have to disclose the entire report or start fixing things.
Everyone wants to know why. Why did the contract fall apart?
Yeah. And buyers always assume the worst, right?
Right. Pool was about to cave in or
something, right? It's funny. Buyers always ask, why is the seller selling, right? And sometimes I'll joke with them. If I got a good relationship, I'll joke, well, it's ghost, right?
Yeah.
It's usually family or job. I mean, those 99% of the time, it's family or job. It's not, toxic waste in the backyard or anything like that. It's just something normal.
Everyone asks that question, though.
It is. It's very funny.
Why are they selling?
Yeah. It's like because there's like some secret they need to know, like they're selling for a reason. Like, no, they want a bigger house. They want a smaller house. They want to move closer to a mom or kid or whatever. The same reason you're moving, right? Like, it's all good.
Have you noticed that prices have started to flatten out a little bit? Because here in DFW, we've experienced, it's quadrupled what inflation was. It's just that the prices of houses just started skyrocketing.
Yeah.
Have you noticed them starting to flatten out or even come down a little bit?
In some areas, significantly down.
Yeah.
In the more densely populated areas, in Collin counties and Dallas counties, probably more of a flat to some down.
Yeah.
But like I live in Melissa, which is far north Collin County. And specifically, there's one house that I sold 2 years ago that came back on the market 3 or 4 months ago and sold, and it sold for $50,000 less than we did 2 years ago.
Okay. That's a good indicator.
Yeah. Now, Melissa's, on the fringe of the growth, and there's a lot of growth. Melissa's 75% new build sales. So it
Really?
makes it a lot tougher. Yeah.
That's a lot of new builds.
Oh yeah.
We oddly, we find an unbelievable amount of deficiencies on a brand new built home.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous how many, because everyone goes, oh, the city inspected it, we're fine.
Yeah.
Then we send our camera down the sewer line. I would say 1 in 10, 1 in 8, something like that. We find blockage in the sewer line where construction debris somehow
Paint.
ended up, they run paint down it, concrete. The shower, when they were building it, will have the mortar mix or tile thin set going down the drain because they didn't put the plastic cap over it as they're building it. Mm-hmm. And consequently, we run our camera down. We're like, well, you can't even turn the water on in this house.
Yeah.
Because it's got nowhere to drain. It's just going to back up into the house.
Absolutely.
And that has happened to a few of our customers that did not do the sewer camera. They took a bath, they drained the bath on the very first night, and it came back up through the washing machine.
Oh my gosh.
Brand new home.
Yeah. I mean, you would think, and I always remind people, new builds are built by humans.
Yes.
And, so this comes up because I suggest inspections on new builds, pre-owned. Mm-hmm. I had almost every single house during 2021, and it's still inspect it, right? I had very few option waves because I just think that is really risky when you're looking at a pre-owned home, right? There's not much to back you up if something goes wrong. And if you do, at least have inspection. I mean, it doesn't mean you can terminate, right? You're accepting whatever it is.
No, but you know.
But at least you know what you're getting. And if there is something catastrophically wrong, you just slide that inspection report over to the lender somehow, and now it's required. So that's knowing the contract, right? But on new build stuff, I'll let people know, it is inspected by the city, but maybe the inspector is there today to inspect the plumbing. He already inspected the electronics and electrical, but when the plumber was here installing X, he accidentally cut the wire over here, but the inspector isn't looking at wires today, he's looking at plumbing today.
Right, yes.
So it's important that we have guys go look at that stuff in different stages too, right? If we're available for the pre-pour and the pre-drywall and all of that, absolutely.
And municipal inspectors can be bought very easily. And if you're an ethical inspector, great. Glad, but I have seen it time and time again. I was on a project where before I did the inspection stuff, I was in the construction world, kitchen and bathroom mainly, but I had gotten a pretty substantial package or contract on a new build. And it was a custom build for a small builder who did like 5 houses a year. $3.5 million home, and we find out that the electrician was unlicensed.
Oh, nice.
And they red tagged the job and they shut it down. Like, no one can be on this job, you cannot work. And I'm not exaggerating. 48 hours later, we had a green tag, and we were all allowed back on the job site and continued working. And I asked the general contractor, how did that happen? Because all the electrical is installed with an unlicensed electrician. How are we allowed back on? And he just said, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't, but really? And I did a little digging and later found out through the grapevine that, he took him to his country club and basically passed him like $10,000.
There you go.
And on a $3.5 million project, $10,000 is fine. Yeah. But all of a sudden we had green tags, and everyone was allowed to work, and the job went so smoothly from there on out.
Yeah.
Regardless of permitting. So it would be naive for anyone to think that they can't be bought.
Right. Or they didn't miss something themselves or anything like that. Because if nothing else, I mean, how many houses are they looking at every single day?
Yes.
Tons and tons. So
I mean, we miss stuff. We're human.
Yeah.
Right? My inspectors miss stuff. Every once in a while we get a call. It's like, hey, you didn't see this. And we go, nope, I missed it. Mm-hmm. We make it right.
Right.
But it's a human being. Of course they're going to miss something.
Sure. And if nothing else, you at least have a snapshot of time of the home's condition. So when that 1-year warranty rolls around, or right before, we at least know, hey, that was working back then, right? And now it's not, or vice versa, or whatever the case is. So.
Yeah, the one thing that really, to your point, we do the zip level evaluation for the foundation. Mm-hmm. And we do that before they pour. So we measure the boards, the form boards. After they pour, the final inspection, and then we do it again 11 months after. Mm-hmm. And you can see through time, the house is just slowly dropping. And if you have 16 months of data and you can show the builder, it dropped 2 inches in 16 months.
Right.
you have a real warranty claim, and it's really hard for the builder to go, that's just normal.
Mm-hmm.
No. It moved 2 inches, brother. Like,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
fix this.
So having that stuff documented is invaluable at times.
Oh, that's tens and thousands of dollars
Mm-hmm.
that you save yourself because he's on the line, he has to fix this
Yep.
foundation that's falling into the earth when you may have had to pay out $20,000 to have a foundation company come in and shore up your brand new home.
Well, I had clients pass on the inspection on new builds, and then and it's one of those things, right? It's Murphy's Law. It's when you don't do it, it's
Yes.
like the worst things could
Yep.
happen. They had water come into the back of their home because the weep holes and the drainage and stuff wasn't right around the house. And then later they found out that there was a live wire in a ceiling for a smoke detector that the drywall guy had drywalled over, painted, textured, everything. So there was actually a live wire up on the ceiling.
Supplying power to the sheetrock. That's good.
Yeah.
That's where you want it.
Yeah, exactly.
Dead ending into a sheetrock.
Yeah, and that was the one example, because most people do it, but some people choose not to. But yeah, those, unfortunately, one of the people that only not to do the inspection was some serious problems.
And we're not inexpensive, and I make no apologies for it. My inspections are not cheap.
Yeah.
And I truly believe you get what you pay for, and you pay for what you get.
Mm-hmm.
And most people that understand value, they say, yeah, I will pay for your inspection, no problem. Because we have hundreds of 5-star reviews, and people have continuously said they do a good job.
Mm-hmm.
And when we don't do a good job, we make it right. And so I make no apologies for that. But time and time again, every single day, someone calls us up. How much is your minimum inspection?
Mm-hmm.
$450. Someone said they would do it for $325. Call them
Okay.
up.
Yeah.
You know, call them up, have them do it. I don't
Mhm.
care. We're not made for each other,
Right.
and they still want to argue with us, which is always interesting.
Yeah.
They want to argue that our prices are too expensive. But ultimately, no. That we re-inspect after some of those guys and find 20 more things.
Oh yeah. I mean, as an agent, I can tell sometimes, right? When I get
Yeah.
a report from an agent or from an inspector that was cost effective, right? I'm like, okay.
It's a pretty short report.
Yeah, right? It's like, all right. I mean, it's your choice, obviously, right? But, I can tell the difference for sure.
The short reports are always fun. I'll get agents all the time that know me personally, and they send me, can you look over this? Yeah, there's not much to look over. But, and they go, yeah, that's what I thought. Like, shouldn't it be longer? Yes. And a lot of guys that have had their license for a very long time do the absolute bare minimum that Trek requires, and a lot of times not even the bare minimum. And they do get in trouble for not meeting the minimum requirements, because every year Trek introduces more and more rules that we have to
Right.
follow. That's why our reports are 60 pages long.
Right.
Which I know sucks for you guys, but
Nah, you get used to it,
we publish the easy to read one on like a tablet or a phone, which is a condensed version, and many people look, because you can just whip through it and it's color coded, and that's been a big win for us.
Yeah.
But I do always recommend, like, download the 60-page one, spend an hour, just scroll through it, look at it, and you're going to find a lot about the house that you're about to spend the most amount of money you ever have in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Just read through the inspection report.
Yeah. Well, and again, it goes back to setting expectations, right? Is when I sit down with those buyers ahead of time, I always let them know, hey, now, especially if it's a first-time home buyer, right? Now, if they purchased 3-4 homes, they're kind of used to it. But a first-time home buyer, we let them know up front, hey, the inspection report is going to be scary. It's going to be a 45, 60-page report
Yes.
that's going to tell you every single thing that's not 100% perfect. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's something wrong with those. It's just not up to current code. And, I explain the whole process to them. But again, setting those proper expectations lessens some of that freak out with those people, so that it's not as big of a challenge to, get them back in, to moving forward.
Yeah, our reports can look pretty scary.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the word deficient, right? Like,
Yes.
when I first started reading reports, I was like, oh my God, everything's deficient? Like, and then once you learn that, hey, it just means it's not absolutely up to current building code, but the home was built in 1983, so it's not required to, right? And/or it's just not functioning as it was intended, but hey, we can fix that, so.
Yeah, the amount of things we have to write deficient, and the older the house gets, the more things that are going to be deficient because they're
Yeah.
not up to the current code.
Right.
So a house built in 2023 today has a lot of deficiencies that were not deficient in 23, and that confuses a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And then Trek, one thing I adamantly disagree with them on is there's no hierarchy of problem. So they have the categories like roof coverings and you can have basically a totaled roof, needs all new shingles, in the same line, like 3 or 4 lines in a row, in the same category as one of the vent stacks is a little off.
It's 2 inches short.
Yeah, which is, okay, if I fix that, that's $45. And the roof is 35 grand.
Right.
And they're in the exact same category, and there's no hierarchy, and people start reading through. Obviously, those are 2 widely different versions, but
Yeah.
there's no like, hey, this is one you should really
Yeah.
drill in on. They just say, no, if it's deficient, it goes in that category. And it's your job with your client to figure out which one we really want to argue with them on.
Right.
And it's, so many other programs, and a program we use sends a secondary report that's color coded.
Oh, yeah. With
Red, yellow, blue.
Yeah.
Red, fix it now. You got a problem. It's a safety hazard. Yellow, we want to see it fixed within the first year you move there. And blue is all the BS that Trek makes us put down that I know you're never going to fix, but I got to put it there.
Right. And that's, great part about a good relationship with an inspection company is knowing that they are going to deliver the message in a integrity, but also a understanding way, right? Because there's nothing worse than being in the house and the inspector's like scaring these people, and you have to be professional at that moment, and I've got to like take my people like, no, it's really not that big a deal, right? Because otherwise things can get derailed real fast.
I can't tell you how many times I've had that discussion with other inspecting companies. Like, oh, our guys are the best. I'm like, have you seen any growth? Like, no, we're really struggling to grow. Are your guys the best because they're kind of showing the client how much information they know, like proving that they are the best inspector at finding every little detail?
Right.
Like, yeah, we pride ourselves on that. I'm like, you're scaring everybody. You're never going to grow your business. And I have found the best ones are retired teachers, retired bar managers, people that have been up front, in front of people dealing with high levels of emotion, or one guy I have, he's a former restaurant manager, and he's comped meals. He's made people just, hey, I'd love for you to come back, and made it right. And he's a great inspector. And I've had other guys that have never had people facing business, and they want to show the client, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You need to explain that these things are incorrect, but
there's a hierarchy, right,
yes.
of seriousness, and you have to address the things that are obviously more serious.
That's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, yeah.
Yeah, caulking around windows, it's a pre-owned home,
yeah.
It's a maintenance item, it's just one of those things.
Yeah, it's a maintenance item, that's all it is.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you've gone through, obviously you enjoy what you're doing now as far as being independent a little bit more. So you're going to continue that route, I assume, not going back to a major name brand. Not yet.
We're building a major name brand now.
You are, yeah. There's no brick and mortar, which is interesting.
Right.
How do you get other vendors? Because I know where you're coming from, and where I go into these meetings and I buy everyone tacos, and
right.
Here's a taco. Can I have 5 minutes of your time to listen to what I got to sell you?
Sure.
Right. How do you guys find trusted, either a roofer, a trusted vendor of any sort that you might, is there like a big group chat, a Facebook group, or you just?
So yeah, there's LPT Facebook group for Texas, and as we grow the brokerage here, we'll have a message board and stuff for the local community. But again, right now we're getting together about every month to 2 months and discussing what we're doing, and then we'll have sponsors and that kind of thing.
Okay, cool.
Type of deal. And so,
because I know agents are a hub when people are thinking about painting their house, new carpet, whatever.
Right.
One of their very first phone calls, I mean, it's broadcasted out to some of their friend groups, and then their agent.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, Travis would know. So whoever is going to know, their agent, that there's a great trusted vendor for whatever it is they're looking for.
And I mean, right now, truthfully, LPT is growing with experienced agents.
Okay.
It's not a ton of brand new agents, because
So they come with their own book of business. And
Exactly.
Their own people that they've worked with.
Right, right. And so as we grow, and then we start attracting new agents because now it's a widely known name and the benefits of it, then, that's, again, when sponsors come in for events and that kind of thing that we're going to be holding regularly. And then, right now we're doing things to attract agents to the brand and to the brokerage. But at some point we're going to have plenty of agents that we're just going to have, quarterly and yearly events that will need good vendors to come and share their information with people and bring tacos.
I just did a Ibby Holiday event. There was 600 agents.
Oh yeah, they just had their
summit.
yearly thing or whatever.
Yeah, there was a lot of agents there. That was impressive. How many showed up?
Yeah, they're Dallas based. I'm not even aware if they're outside of Dallas.
I'm not either. But
I think they're only in Dallas.
They're huge here. Everybody knows the Little White House. And,
Right.
Yeah, so but it was very Ibby Holiday. I go to so many different brokerages, and I can kind of get the feel for each one. Like, that guy's probably with KW.
Right.
That is definitely an Ibby agent. And you just start learning it. Each one has its own little culture,
Little vibe.
microculture. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So I'd be curious to get to know more agents on your side.
That'd be we'll have you up to one of the events.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, future plans, obviously staying in real estate, staying with your brokerage. What else? New hobbies? You gonna take up kite surfing or just keep pushing?
I don't know, man. I've got 3 kids. My twins are 8 and a little girl is 6 now. So,
awesome.
That I think the future is whatever sports or activities, they have their eyes set on.
Super dad.
Yeah. So just being for them, there for them on those and supporting them. And that eats up between a real estate business and 3 kids and activities. That's about all she wrote.
One of my very good friends has 3 kids, and one of them's in year-round soccer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how? How do you do that every weekend? Toting the 3 kids to the game, and it's game after game after game.
We haven't found that niche yet. They're still trying to figure out, what their specialty is or what they really enjoy.
Swimming, gymnastics, all the things.
Yeah, right now the girls are in tennis, and so they seem to be enjoying that, doing well. It's it's an interesting individual sport, right? Takes a lot of work and hand-eye coordination, which at 8 and 6 they don't necessarily have a ton of that yet, but they're out there trying hard, so it's cool to see that. And so we try to keep at least 2 of them doing something at any given time,
right,
versus all 3 at the same time, which can be quite a bit.
That's
obviously.
A lot.
Yeah.
Do you have a big bus of a car, a big Suburban or something?
We had one. We had a Suburban, but my wife doesn't like driving a big car. Yeah. So we went down to an Explorer, but now our son is big enough to ride in the front seat.
Okay.
So we got her a 4-door Jeep. So
cool.
She's just running them around. The 2 girls in the back, him in the front.
Jeeps are fun. Yeah.
That was when my wife and I first got married. We got her a 2-door Jeep because that was her favorite car with big tires and all of that, right? But once we were looking at having kids, it was, hey, we need to get something a little more.
Have y'all been on any off-road adventures?
No.
No?
No, that's, I even told the car guy, I was like, hey, she just wants the look of the tires, right? We don't need all the capabilities. Now, the one we ended up getting her is a 4x4 and all of that stuff, so she could, I guess, if she wanted to. But
snows twice a year here.
Right, put it in a 4-wheel drive. Yeah. But no, she enjoys just running around in it, so it's all good.
Cool. All right, well, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, let's chat again in a year.
Sweet.
See how you're growing and enjoying, and maybe find a sport for the kids.
Yeah, we'll see. I think the best thing is just try them all. Right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, until then.
Cool.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Guys, we're going to put all of his information down below in the description, so if you want to contact him for buying a house or even joining the brokerage, it'll all be down there. And again, see you soon.
Yeah, man, appreciate it.
Thanks.
Bye.